Hi, welcome to Arkintel. They say taxing the rich ruins innovation, that the moment you raise taxes on billionaires, you kill progress. That without their genius, their capital, their empires, nothing new gets built. But here's the thing, this idea didn't come from economists. It didn't come from history. It came from billionaires themselves, through lobbyists, media allies, and think tanks designed to manufacture consent. Because if they can convince the world that taxing them equals economic suicide, they win every time. Meanwhile, the data tells a different story. In the US, the richest 1% now own more wealth than the entire middle class combined. The bottom 50%, they fight over just 2.4% of national wealth. And while billionaire wealth soared by over $2 trillion during the pandemic, frontline workers got hazard pay that barely lasted a few months. So let's stop asking the wrong question. Instead of, will taxing the rich kill innovation? Let's ask, what happens if we don't? The richest people on earth aren't just rich, they are untaxed. Let's talk about numbers. In 2018, Amazon made $11.2 billion in profits and yet paid $0 in federal tax. Between 2014 and 2018, Elon Musk's wealth grew by nearly $14 billion, yet he paid just $455 million in federal income taxes. Warren Buffett, who famously said that he pays a lower tax rate than his secretary, just paid 0.1% of his wealth in taxes over those same years. This is not an accident, it's a strategy. These billionaires don't earn traditional salaries like most workers. Instead, they borrow against their stock holdings to avoid triggering taxable income, while funneling billions in profits through low-tax jurisdictions like Ireland, Bermuda, and the Cayman Islands. In fact, US multinational corporations now shift more than half of their foreign profits into tax havens, draining public budgets around the world. And yet, whenever there is a proposal to raise taxes on the ultra-wealthy, the response is immediate. Don't punish success. This will crush innovation. This is class warfare. But what do you call it when the richest avoid taxes entirely while the middle class shoulders the bill? Now let's talk about the other 99%. Since 1979, US worker productivity has climbed nearly 81%. But during the same period, average hourly pay, after adjusting for inflation, has grown just 29%. The gap between output and compensation has only widened. In other words, workers are doing more, contributing more, and getting less in return. At the same time, health insurance premiums have more than quadrupled since 1999, far outpacing wage increases and inflation. The average cost of a home in the US has jumped from $120,000 in the year 2000 to over $400,000 today. So, where is the money going? Straight to the top. Since 1978, US CEO pay has surged by over 1,000%, while worker compensation rose just 24%, a striking reflection of how income has tilted toward the top. And as of 2024, the average S&P 500 CEO earns around $17 million a year, nearly 200 times more than the typical worker. This isn't just a gap, it's a chasm. And while billionaires argue that taxing them is punishing ambition, the truth is, the ambition of everyday people is being taxed to death already. Now to the heart of the argument. Does taxing the rich actually kill innovation? History says no. Back in the 1950s and 60s, the US had a top marginal income tax rate of 91%. And yet, that era didn't kill innovation, it supercharged it. That's the period when America built the interstate highway system. It was when NASA landed humans on the moon. It was when public universities expanded dramatically, when the GI Bill transformed education, and when the US government funded the foundational research which eventually became the internet. During that time, corporations paid between 30 and 50% of total federal tax revenue. Today, that number is less than 10%. America's most innovative decades didn't happen in spite of high taxes. They happened because of them. The public sector laid the groundwork for private success. Now, fast forward to today. Tech billionaires claim to be innovators, but in 2023 alone, over 260,000 tech jobs were cut globally. These layoffs weren't about survival. They were done to increase profit margins. Shareholders win, workers lose. Innovation wasn't killed by taxes. It's being suffocated by greed. Here's the twist. The world isn't sitting still. In 2021, 136 countries agreed to implement a global minimum corporate tax of 15%. This move, backed by the OECD and the US Treasury, aims to stop corporations from shifting profits to low-tax jurisdictions just to avoid paying their fair share. And this is just the beginning. Economists like Gabriel Zucman and Emmanuel Saez have proposed an annual wealth tax of 2% on fortunes above $50 million and 3% on fortunes over $1 billion. If enacted, this could raise up to $300 billion each year in the US alone. Other ideas are gaining momentum too, like closing the carried interest loopholes that allows private equity managers to pay lower taxes than nurses, or aligning capital gains taxes with income tax rates, or introducing a small financial transaction tax on Wall Street trades, the kind that wouldn't affect regular people but could raise tens of billions of dollars from high-frequency trading. These aren't fringe ideas. They are backed by data and by the public. In fact, most Americans continue to support raising taxes on corporations and high-income households. People know the system is broken, and they are done pretending it's fair. So, can we tax the rich without killing innovation? Yes, absolutely. And if we don't, we might kill something far more important. Because innovation isn't dying, but trust in the system is. When billionaires launch themselves into space while millions of people can't afford basic healthcare, something is deeply wrong. When workers generate record profits but can't afford a home, that's not progress, that's collapse. A society like this isn't innovative, it's dystopian. If we let this wealth concentration continue unchecked, the real casualties won't be billionaires. The real casualties will be democracy, economic mobility, social cohesion, and ultimately, the future we claim to be building. Because taxing the rich isn't what kills innovation, but letting them hoard everything just might kill everything else. If you found this video thoughtful, make sure to check out why no one wants to work anymore. In this video, we uncover the real reasons behind America's labor shortage, from stagnant wages and soaring living costs to burnout, quiet quitting, and a generational shift in how people view work. Click the video to watch now.